Incredible discovery, young Dr. S. Heartwarming touch awakens millionaire in coma after 6 years. Dr. Emily Hart's hands trembled slightly as she adjusted the 4-drip for Jack Montgomery, the town's most elusive figure, the one who had slept through 6 years of life. Just weeks ago, he was a headline in the Waverly Springs Gazette. Incredible discovery. The entire community buzzed with disbelief and hope. And now, as she stood in his sterile hospital room, the air thick with anticipation, she felt the weight of the world resting on her shoulders. His soft, perfect features drew her in. This was a man stuck not just in a coma, but in time itself. She had heard the whispers circulating through the town, echoes of disbelief regarding her worth. They questioned if the daughter of the local baker could really make a difference in the life of a millionaire. Emily swallowed hard against the knot in her throat, pushing those thoughts away. She believed she had the power to unearth the man beneath the layers of wealth and isolation. With every gentle word she spoke, she cheered him on. "You can do this, Jack," she whispered, her heart aching for this ghost of a man caught in the web of his own lavish past. Days turned into weeks, and with every small win a blink, a twitch, Emily felt alive, even amidst her exhaustion from nursing hours at the hospital and caring for her sick mother at home. The town of Waverly Springs continued to stir, the scent of freshly baked pies filled the air, mingling with the fierce determination inside her. She poured compassion into him, feeling their lives intertwined yet divided. Her humble upbringing brought a blend of resilience to each encounter. "Remember who you are. You're not just their millionaire," she urged him, as she saw glimpses of life flicker behind the veil of his closed eyes. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." But the joy of her efforts was met with disapproval from Jack's family. They didn't want a nurse with humble roots intruding upon their domain of wealth and power. The tension escalated when they pressured Emily to back off, to let their expensive doctors take over. Each encounter pressed down on her like a weight, leaving her breathless, wrestling with a desire to uplift Jack while reaffirming her own place within this ominous narrative. A climactic moment approached as Jack finally opened his eyes, revealing vulnerability that had been absent for so long. Emily smiled through her tears, sensing the weight shift between them. But before he could truly grasp the bond forming, a letter from his family arrived. Its contents could shatter everything, placing them at an unthinkable crossroads. Jack now faced a choice: embrace the familiar echo of his past or leap into the abyss of something new and real with Emily. The community watched, emotions thick in the air, realizing this was more than just Jack's battle. It was a test of what it meant to come home. With every passing second, the question loomed larger: would Jack choose the empty allure of wealth, or the powerful connection born of compassion? Jack's eyes blinked slowly, absorbing the dim light of the hospital room. A world previously hidden from him was starting to come into focus. Emily could hardly contain her burgeoning hope. She leaned closer, feeling an electric charge coursing between them, a mixture of anticipation and fear. "Jack, can you hear me?" she asked softly, her voice trembling with emotion. He turned his head slightly, a faint movement that sent a ripple of excitement through her. It wasn't much, but it was enough. She took a deep breath, steadying herself against the wall. "You've been through so much, but you're awake now. You have a chance to start again," she encouraged, willing that truth into existence. Outside the room, the hustle of the hospital continued. Medical staff moved in and out, their voices a distant hum, but Emily was focused solely on Jack. She reached for his hand, intertwining her fingers with his. "You're not alone anymore. I'm here with you." She could feel his warmth radiating into her, and it ignited a spark within her heart. But then the door swung open. Jack's mother, a striking woman draped in designer fabrics, burst in like a storm. Her presence cast a shadow, and Emily instinctively let go of Jack's hand. The warmth faded instantly, replaced with tension that twisted in her stomach. "Jack! Thank God you're awake." His mother rushed to his side, her voice almost shrill with a mix of relief and authority. "We've been so worried about you." She brushed back errant strands of hair from his forehead, her touch utterly invasive. Emily stayed quiet, just a few steps away, caught between her desire to be part of this moment and the reality of being pushed aside. She had fought so hard for Jack, and now the specter of his family hovered around them like a looming thundercloud. "Mom," Jack croaked, his voice raw and fractured. He looked towards Emily, his gaze pleading. It was as if he remembered her warmth, the connection they had forged. But then his mother continued talking, filling the air with family obligations and the spirits of wealth that had long entangled them. "I can't believe you let this nurse take up time with you when you had professionals waiting to help." She fumed, face flushed with worry and frustration. Emily's heart sank. "Wait," Jack murmured, his voice rising above the fraught atmosphere. "I want to talk to Emily. Alone." There was strength in his words, a determination that surprised everyone in the room. The air shifted. Was that defiance? Emily couldn't help but smile, even as she felt the weight of his mother's piercing glare. "Jack, you don't know what you're saying. This isn't what you need," she protested, but Jack held up a hand, silencing her. "It's what I want," he affirmed, looking straight into Emily's eyes. The world outside faded, it truly felt like just the two of them existed in that moment. With a reluctant sigh, Jack's mother stepped back, crossing her arms in clear disapproval. Emily felt a surge of gratitude for him, for claiming his voice amidst the chaos. They had come so far, yet now it would demand even more bravery. As the door clicked shut behind his mother, Jack turned to Emily, vulnerability flashing in his expressive eyes. "I felt lost for so long, how do I even begin to find myself again?" In that moment, they both realized that awakening from a coma wasn't just about physical revival, it was a chance to rediscover life's very meaning, with choices and challenges awaiting them. Emily took a deep breath, feeling the gravity of his words. "You start by letting go of what held you back, Jack, and embracing who you want to become." But even as the words left her lips, a new dilemma brewed. What if Jack's past was too heavy to shed? Would he succumb to the whispers of his family? Would he simply retreat into the secure shell of his past life? As uncertainty mingled with hope, they both leaned closer, sensing the dawn of new beginnings. All at once, the question hung in the air like a bittersweet promise: would Jack have the courage to break free from a past meant to bind him? The silence that followed felt charged with potential, leaving both of them on the edge of a life-altering decision. But somewhere deep down, a flicker of determination ignited. Their journey was only just beginning. Jack took a moment, the weight of Emily's words settling deep within him. The silence of the room felt heavy but hopeful. Their fingers lingered close, almost as if a silent promise connected them. Jack's heart beat a little faster. He could feel the gravity of his choices starting to take shape. "Embracing who I want to become," he repeated softly, trying the words on his tongue like a bitter yet hopeful pill. The reality of the situation swept over him. There was more than just physical healing to navigate, and though he had been locked away in darkness for so long, the light of this moment was neither blinding nor overwhelming. It was steady, grounding. "How do you do it?" Jack asked, voice still shaky but typical of a curious survivor. "How do you let go?" Emily shifted closer, her expression soft yet unwavering. "You take it one moment at a time. You acknowledge the pain, but you also make space for hope. It's a process, Jack. It won't happen overnight." She could see the uncertainty clouding his eyes. The timid glimmer of doubt fought against a growing resolve. Jack nodded, soaking in her words while another thought slipped into his mind, a nagging shadow from the past. "What if they don't let me?" What if my mother just expects me to fall right back into line? The words carried a weight that made Emily frown. The slightest shiver of worry rippled through her. You're stronger than you think you are, Jack. You've already taken a big step by speaking up to her. He sighed, his brow furrowing as he gazed out the window where shadows danced in the waning sun. Tiny moments of strength felt minuscule against what lay ahead. But what if I disappoint her? Or them? What if they can't accept the person I want to be? Disappointment is a part of life. But it won't be worse than losing yourself again, Emily challenged gently. Jack felt a flicker of resentment rise up, tangled in fear. I don't know what else to do if I don't follow the path laid out for me. Then carve a new one, Emily said, determination filling her voice. That road is yours to create, Jack. It may not be easy, but you don't have to take every single step alone. You're not just a son or a patient or anyone's expectation. You're Jack, and you're more than that. That hit him hard. The weight of her words sank deep. Maybe, just maybe, there was room for him to explore who he truly was outside of those roles that had shadowed him for years. The door creaked as it opened, and they both turned in surprise. Jack's mother reappeared, her expression a storm again, this time with an air of urgency. Jack, the medical team is here to check on you, she announced, her voice tight, eyes lingering on Emily with disapproval. Mom, he started, but the conversation faltered. He felt Emily's warmth retract, like a flame dimming under forceful wind. Let us not waste their time, she interjected, her tone cold and taut. We need to make sure everything is okay with you. Let the professionals do their job. Jack felt a sinking feeling, the tension resurfacing. He glanced at Emily, who nodded reassuringly but retreated to the side, respectfully creating distance. As the doctors entered, instruments glistening under fluorescent lights, Jack's sense of clarity began to blur slightly. Was he really ready to face all of this? Would the chasm between his desires and his mother's expectations deepen once more? The medical team began their assessments, but Jack's thoughts swirled, fighting against the silence bubbling within. But he couldn't ignore the growing fire inside him. He had to find his voice, that small flicker of courage. As the team checked his vitals, Jack watched the squat reflection of himself in the small mirror across the room. There he was, the man trapped in uncertainty yet desperate for freedom. Would he step into the light or fold back into the shadows of who others wanted him to be? With a sudden swell of determination, he cleared his throat. I need some time alone with Emily again after this, and I'm ready to discuss my recovery goals. The doctors exchanged glances, but he didn't break. Eye contact. There was a steady pulse of reality he had awakened within himself. Determination pulsed in the air, thickening the atmosphere. This was just the beginning, as real choices loomed before him. A choice that could alter not just his future, but the tangled dynamics with those who believe they know him best. The door clicked shut behind them after the doctors finished their assessments. Jack met Emily's gaze once more, the corners of his lips lifting as hope dared to blossom again. But would that flame endure against the storms ahead? Steeling himself, he realized he was ready to take that leap, a leap into the unknown, where hope dwelled but the past still whispered. Could this be the transformation he had longed for? As he looked deep into her eyes, he could feel uncertainty like an open door. Where would it lead him next? Jack took a deep breath, grounding himself as the door closed behind the medical team. His heart raced, that strange blend of excitement and fear churning inside him. He focused on Emily, her presence like a lifeline in a stormy sea. Are you okay? She asked, concern etching lines on her forehead. Just taking it all in, he replied, rubbing a hand over his face, as if to wipe away the lingering tension. It felt like I was being pulled in two different directions back there. Of course it did. She stepped closer. Your mom is trying to protect you, even if it feels suffocating. But what matters is what you want, Jack. He nodded, staring into the hopeful depths of her eyes. That quiet strength she exuded, it was becoming infectious. "It's hard," he admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'm fighting against everything I've known, against expectations, and sometimes it feels like that old life is so much easier to slip back into." "But slipping back won't bring you happiness," Emily urged softly. "You need to step into your own light, whatever that looks like." He glanced at the window, taking in the dancing shadows outside, the promise of a new day just beyond the glass. What did stepping into his own light even mean? Would he shatter the very foundation of his family's dreams? "Does it scare you?" he asked, grappling with a knot of emotions tightening within him. Emily hesitated, a moment of vulnerability flickering on her face. "Sometimes. But I'm learning that fear doesn't mean you can't move forward. It just means you're aware of the risks. Do you think I can really do this?" She reached for his hand, intertwining her fingers with his. "You've already taken the hardest step by wanting this. Trust in your strength and in the people who care for you." A spark ignited in Jack's chest, swelling courage that pushed away the shadows of doubt. "What if I make a mistake? What if I burn bridges?" "Bridges can be rebuilt when the fire's out," she said, squeezing his hand. "You never know what you can create unless you take that chance." His mind raced, caught between visions of past safety and potential future excitement. What if he could, rather than just survive, he could thrive? At that moment, he made a decision. "I want to talk to Mom about my plans. I want to be honest about who I am. I might disappoint her, but I can't keep living for someone else." Emily's smile widened, a beacon of support. "That's it. Just remember, it's a journey. You don't have to have all the answers right now." Jack inhaled deeply, feeling the weight of that statement. A journey. The simplicity of that word wrapped around him like a warm blanket. This was no longer just about his past, it was a conscious choice to step into the future. "Do you think she'll understand?" he questioned, his throat tightening slightly. "She will if you show her the real you," Emily said. "And the real you is worth knowing." He felt an overwhelming desire to move forward, a pulse of energy that matched the rhythm of life outside the hospital walls. With Emily by his side, he could envision taking that leap into the unknown. As Emily turned to face him fully, the air buzzed with the possibility of change. "How about we plan your talk with your mom together? We could rehearse what you want to say." Jack's stomach fluttered, a mix of fear and excitement. "You'd help me?" "Of course. You're not alone in this anymore," she declared, eyes bright. They began mapping out concerns, creating a plan that felt like crafting a new path in the wild. Each idea, each phrase, felt powerful, like a stepping stone towards the truth he needed to share. But just as they articulated his thoughts, the door creaked open again. This time, it was his mother, her aura still firm but with a hint of apprehension breaking through. "What is going on in here?" she asked, catching the tail end of their discussion. Jack could feel his heart race, each beat echoing the dual reality of the moment, hopeful yet terrifying. Would he muster the courage? Taking a deep breath, he glanced at Emily, who nodded encouragingly. It was now or never. "I think we need to talk." Jack started, and with that, the weight of his future hung moodily in the air, brimming with potential. Was he ready to embrace the path before him? How would it unfold? Would truth pave the way for understanding, or would it spark another storm? Jack's heart thundered in his chest. His mother stood there, a mixture of curiosity and apprehension painted across her features. The room felt small, the air thick with unspoken words. He glanced at Emily, who gave him an encouraging nod, her grip steadying his trembling hands. "Mom," he began, his voice wavering slightly. "There is something important I need to talk to you about." She crossed her arms and leaned against the door, a shield against the weight of his words. "What is it, Jack?" Her tone was cautious but not unkind. Jack took another deep breath, the scent of antiseptic filling his nostrils, blending with the hopes swirling in his mind. He had to do this. For him. For his future. I've been thinking a lot about my life and what I want. He paused, searching her eyes for a flicker of understanding. About who I really am. Okay, she replied slowly, her brow furrowing as she attempted to read his intentions. He pushed through the apprehension, knotting his stomach. I don't want to follow the path you've laid out for me. I want to explore my own dreams. I want to make my own choices. He watched as the warmth in her gaze began to dim, her arms tightening around herself. Jack, this is sudden. What are you saying? Are you sure you know what you want? He felt a surge of frustration. Mom, this isn't some whim. I've been thinking about this for a long time. I'm not happy living the way you want me to. I need to find my own way, he urged, the words pouring out like spilled ink. She opened her mouth to respond, hesitation hanging between them. Jack pressed on, emboldened by Emily's presence. I want to go into medicine, but on my terms. I want to help people, but I want to do it my way. Not just because it looks good on paper or fulfills someone else's vision. His mother's face blanched, her disappointment evident in the tightness of her lips. But you have so much potential, Jack. Why would you throw that away? It's not throwing it away. He insisted, a mix of passion and desperation fueling his voice. It's finding what truly makes me happy. Maybe it means taking risks, but that's part of living, isn't it? Silence. Jack's heart ached as he searched for signs of acceptance that he wasn't sure would come. Tell me it's not too late, he implored softly, a crack forming in his facade. I need you to believe in me as I discover this. Her expression shifted, the lines of worry deepening, and then something softened. Jack, I just want what's best for you, she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper. Everything I've done, every plan I've made, it was for you. I know, he responded, longing to bridge the distance between them. But I need to carve my own path. Can you trust in that? The tension hung between them like a taut wire, each word a step toward unraveling it. He watched as she took a deep breath, her shoulders dropping slightly as if a weight had shifted. I need time to process this, she murmured, her eyes glistening as she looked at him, pride and fear mingling in her gaze. I love you, and I want you to be happy, but this is hard for me. Jack nodded, feeling a flicker of hope amidst the uncertainty. That's all I ask, Mom. Just let me show you who I am. As she turned and left the room, the door clicking shut behind her felt both heavy and freeing. He glanced at Emily, whose smile was warm, a sunny spot in the cloudy aftermath of their conversation. You did it, she said softly, pride radiating from her. Jack exhaled the breath he didn't know he was holding. But what if this isn't enough? What if she doesn't come around? Emily reached for him, her eyes sparkling with encouragement. You've opened the door, Jack. Trust that you can take it from here. Just give it time. But just as they were beginning to celebrate the small victory, a voice echoed from behind the door, Jack, can you come here a moment? His mother's voice held an urgency that sent his heart racing again. What now? He whispered, nerves cycling back in. I think we have more to discuss. What else could she possibly want to say? Fear and hope battled within him as he moved toward the door, uncertain of what awaited him on the other side. Was he ready for another moment of truth, or would this conversation tip the scales back into darkness? Jack's hand hovered over the doorknob, hesitating as he felt the weight of his mother's request pressing against his chest. Every muscle in his body screamed to retreat, to leave the room behind with the remnants of their earlier confrontation. Yet, there was no turning back. He needed to confront whatever this was, this gravitational pull that kept bringing them back together like the tides. With a deep breath, he opened the door. The hallway beyond felt sterile, lined with bright lights that flickered on the white walls. His mother stood in the small waiting area just outside his room, her face drawn and serious. Mom. Jack's voice was tentative, the earlier confidence slipping away. Thank you for coming. Her voice wavered slightly, betraying her uncertainty. I've been thinking a lot about what you said. There is something important I need to share with you. He nodded, the relief of her willingness to talk battling the tension still twisting in his stomach. I didn't expect you to say what you did. It caught me off guard. She glanced away, her jaw tightening. It's just your father and I have always wanted what was best for you. I wanted to prepare you for success. I understand that, Jack interjected, desperate to inject some understanding into their conversation. But it can't be at the cost of my happiness, Mom. She inhaled deeply and let it out slowly, as if carrying the weight of generations in her sigh. I know. I just don't want you to end up lost. I've seen people go down paths that hurt them, and I don't want that for you. Jack felt the chokehold of fear around both their hearts. Mom, I promise I will be careful. I have dreams, but I also have you. I just need your support, not your expectations. There was a pause, and he could see her struggling internally, balancing the scales of love and concern. Suddenly, her expression shifted, as if a realization had struck her. Jack, her voice softened to almost a whisper. What if I helped you? What if we found a way to navigate this together? The ember of hope rekindled in his chest. You mean you'd consider it? Maybe I jumped too quickly to conclusions, she replied, her eyes glistening in the fluorescent light. I've been so focused on what I thought you should do, I haven't listened to you. Maybe it's time I let you guide your own journey. Really? The disbelief mirrored in his voice. This was more than he had anticipated. That would mean everything to me. I want you to have experiences that shape who you are, she said, her voice steadying. Let us look into programs, explore opportunities. On your terms. We'll make a plan together. Jack's heart swelled, a mixture of exhilaration and relief washing over him. Thank you, Mom. This means the world. But just as a smile threatened to break free on his lips, the weight of something unsaid lingered in the air. Jack, she hesitated, bringing him back into the moment. There is something else. Something I didn't want to share until I was sure. What is it? He asked, sensing the shift in her tone. I've been contacted about the scholarship. It's very prestigious, but Jack's heart raced again, thoughts darting like fireflies. The scholarship could change everything, could offer him the doors he desperately wanted to open. But what? It's for the very path I thought you didn't want. The silence hung between them, a fragile thread of anticipation. Would this revelation bind them closer, or shatter the fragile trust they were building? As he searched her eyes for the answer, the gravity of what lay ahead weighed heavier than ever. Mom, just tell me, Jack urged, feeling a mix of urgency and hope. Her expression was unreadable, yet Jack knew that whatever came next would change everything once again. Jack's breath hitched as he watched his mother's lips tighten into a thin line. It was as if she was holding back a tide of emotions, and he could feel his own anxiety climbing. He could sense the complexity swirling in the air, the unspoken fears that both of them shared. It's for a medical program, she finally blurted out, her voice trembling slightly. It focuses on developing treatments for neurological disorders. It's everything your father and I have been pushing for. I thought that's what you wanted. The word neurological echoed through his mind like church bells on a quiet Sunday. He had always admired medicine. The intricate workings of the human brain, the chance to help others, that dream had danced just beyond his reach for far too long. But now, wrapped in this moment, it felt like someone had pulled the rug from under him. But I don't know if that's exactly what I want. His voice faltered as dread swept through him. Mom, I'm scared. I understand, she replied, stepping closer, her hands clasping together as if to anchor them both. But please, consider it. This could open doors, Jack. A scholarship like this is rare. He recoiled a bit, the pressure of her expectations bearing down again. But at what cost? I mean, what if I want to travel, or work in art, or even entrepreneurship? It feels like it's all for you and Dad, not me. The air sparked with tension, and for a brief moment, time slowed. Jack could see the flicker of hurt wash over her face, and he wished he could take back his words. But he needed her to understand. Jack, she said softly, almost pleadingly. This isn't just about us. This is an opportunity for you to be part of something life-changing. It could a chance to make a difference. Mom, I want to make my own difference. He felt a surge of frustration bubble up. You keep saying you trust me, but then you suggest the one thing I've been trying to tell you doesn't fit my vision. She stepped back, the weight of his words sinking in, reflected in her widening eyes. Their past echoed in the room, the stifling expectations, the path mapped out like a blueprint without his input. And yet, here she was, trying to shift that narrative. Would she still absorb his truth? This is hard for me, she admitted, pain etched into her voice. I thought I was helping you. I know, I appreciate it, but it gets harder to live up to what you thought I should be. His voice trembled, inching toward raw honesty. I need you to really trust me and what I want. Her gaze fell to the floor for a moment, turmoil swirling within her. Then she looked back up, determination shining through the weariness in her eyes. All right, let us figure this out together. Let us explore options, including your art or maybe even a travel program. But please consider this scholarship too. All I'm asking is for you to really think about it. Jack felt the earlier tension ease between them, replaced by something less defined, like a renewed sense of possibility. I'll think about it. But promise me one thing, Mom. Anything. Let it be my decision. With a nod, she stepped closer again, and this time he felt the warmth of her presence grounding him. Hope began to blossom in the folds of their conversation, even if it was still tentative. Thank you, she said, her voice breaking slightly as tears glistened in her eyes. For sharing this with me. As they stood together, the world outside faded. Jack realized that while expectations could weigh heavy, love had the power to lift them, to redefine everything they had believed. Still, an underlying worry lurked, the potential fallout from this decision, the possibility of disappointment if he chose a path they might not agree with. Mom, promise me, he said, steeling himself, you won't view it as a failure if I take a different route. Let us not think about failure, she whispered. Let us think about growth. Yet as they embraced, the flickering lights overhead buzzed almost ominously, and Jack couldn't shake the feeling that this journey was only just beginning, along with the challenges yet to unfold. A knot formed in his stomach as he wondered if they would both truly be ready for what lay ahead, the choices, the pain, and the genuine freedom of discovery. Would their bond withstand the tests of independence? The question lingered, heavy in the air as they let go, leaving Jack wondering what the next step would really mean for both of them. The next few days were a whirlwind for Jack. He was still basking in the warmth of that fragile connection with his mother, and yet a part of him felt disoriented. The scholarship, the discussions about his future, loomed large, like clouds on the horizon ready to storm. He spent hours wandering through art galleries, sketching anything that caught his eye, but the urge to paint felt subdued under the weight of his unresolved feelings. One afternoon, while walking home from the gallery, he noticed a small art supply shop he had never seen before. Its windows were painted with bright colors and curious designs. Jack paused, hesitating, the inkling of excitement bubbling beneath the fear of disappointment. The thought of stepping inside ignited a flicker of hope. Maybe, just maybe, this place held something he needed, a spark. As he entered, the small bell above the door tinkled, breaking the stillness inside. The shop smelled of fresh paint and canvas, a blend that felt intoxicatingly familiar. Shelves were lined with jars of vibrant paints, brushes, and endless packs of sketch paper. He ran his fingers over the smooth canvases, feeling the magic of possibilities hum in the air. Can I help you? A voice rang out, pulling him from his reverie. A tall, bearded man stood behind the counter, his smile genuine and inviting. I'm just browsing," Jack stuttered, suddenly shy against the backdrop of color and creativity. "No problem at all. Take your time." The man motioned with a nod as he turned to help another customer. Jack wandered deeper into the shop, feeling a sense of belonging wash over him. As he picked up a set of paints, a memory struck him, his father painting their backyard fence a vibrant blue with the sun shining down and his mother laughing at them both. It was fleeting, but it made him feel grounded, reminding him that art had always been a part of him, a way to express feelings too complex for words. But then, the scholarship crept back into his mind. Could he really forsake medical school for art? What would his parents think? The tension spiraled. Suddenly, the bearded shopkeeper approached him again. "You look like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders, kid. Care to share?" For a moment, Jack hesitated. But the man's kind eyes sparked something inside him. "It's just. I feel like everyone has expectations. My parents want one thing, and I want something different." "Ah, a classic dilemma," he said, a knowing smile on his face. "You know, that fork in the road isn't just a burden. It's also a chance to explore who you really are. You could create something beautiful while still pursuing your dreams." Jack felt a rush of warmth at that thought. If he could just talk to someone who understood, who didn't immediately push him toward a specific path, maybe it would help shape his vision. "I've always loved art," but he hesitated. "I'm scared. What if I fail?" The man leaned against the counter. "Failure can often be a stepping stone, not a dead end. You see, every piece of art has its own story, mistakes, corrections, and sometimes unexpected beauty. It's all about how you embrace the journey." Jack wasn't sure if it was the shopkeeper's words or the ambience around him, but he felt a flicker of exhilaration. Perhaps what he needed was to allow himself to explore and see where it would lead. As he purchased a small canvas and set of paints, Jack felt a weight lift, replaced by a vision of a vibrant future wrapped in colors and strokes yet to come. Walking home, he allowed these mixed emotions to swirl around him. But could he truly juggle art, the expectations of his family, and the daunting freedom of choice? Tomorrow was another day, and he would have to share this part of himself with his mother, an art that would either connect them deeper or pull them further apart. Jack's heart raced, and he knew that whatever came next would be pivotal. Would he have the courage to show her his true passion? Or would uncertainty pull them back into old patterns? He closed his eyes, envisioning the blooming potential ahead, a canvas waiting to be filled with color. But one question lingered: was he ready to paint his own story? Jack woke early the next morning, the golden light filtering through his window casting long shadows on his small bedroom. It felt like the universe was gently nudging him to embrace the day ahead. The small canvas and paints sat beside his bed, a reminder of the spark ignited just the day before. Today, he would take a leap. Today, he would step into the unknown. As he dressed, Jack's mind was a mixture of excitement and dread. He imagined sitting across from his mother at their kitchen table, her familiar features softening at the sight of his new creation. But then the self-doubt crept back in. What if she didn't understand? What if she only saw it as another sign of his wavering commitment to the life they envisioned for him? With a deep breath, he shoved the thoughts aside. A part of him knew he needed to be honest, not just for himself, but for her as well. She deserved to know him, to understand his dreams as they swirled like colors on a palette waiting to be mixed. After breakfast, he decided to gather his thoughts at a nearby park. He needed to sketch, to find a way to articulate the emotions that had been building inside him. The park was teeming with life. Families laughed as they played frisbee, couples strolled hand in hand, and the air smelled sweet with blooming flowers and freshly mowed grass. Jack settled on a bench, pulled out his sketchbook, and began to draw. Each stroke of the pencil felt freeing, his fears dissipating with each line created. The image transformed before him, a blend of colors that represented not just art, but the essence of who he wanted to be. In the midst of his sketching, Jack's heart raced as he heard someone approach. He looked up to find an elderly woman admiring his work. Her eyes sparkled as she leaned in closer. "That's beautiful, dear. You've captured something special there," she said. "Thank you," Jack replied, warmth flooding through him at the compliment. "It's a little piece of my heart, I guess. That's what art should be, isn't it? A reflection of who we are," she said, and Jack felt a connection with her words. It was everything he needed to hear right now. They chatted for a few more moments, sharing thoughts about art and life. Jack learned that the woman had once been an artist herself, before life's responsibilities took over. As they parted ways, she touched his arm gently. "Don't ever stop pursuing your passion. You have a gift." With her encouragement echoing in his head, Jack made his way home. Every step felt lighter than the last. He was ready. He would show his mother the sketch and the canvas. He would make her understand. When he reached the front door, he paused, his heart thudding loudly in his chest. Inside, he could hear his mother humming softly, lost in her own world. The scent of dinner wafted through the air, mingling with spices and warmth. "Hey, Mom!" he called out as he stepped inside, trying to keep his voice steady. The sound of her humming stopped, and she appeared from the kitchen, wiping her hands on a dish towel. "Hi, honey. How was your day?" Her eyes sparkled with affection, and Jack felt both comforted and terrified. "It was good. I want to show you something." He took a deep breath and brought the sketch out from behind his back, then held it out like it was the most delicate glass ornament. His mother's expression shifted as she studied the artwork. For a moment, the room was silent, and Jack felt a mixture of vulnerability mingled with hope. But then, he noticed her brow furrow slightly, and the words that came next would shape the conversation and perhaps their entire relationship forever. "What is this, Jack? Is this your life plan?" Suddenly, the room felt colder, the colors in his art dimming against the reality of her words. Was he ready for this moment that could change everything? Would this be another layer added to the already complicated fabric of their lives? Or would it unravel everything he hoped for? His heart pounded in his chest as he looked into his mother's eyes. The air felt charged with unspoken truths and heavy expectations. He took another breath, ready to answer, but would he be met with understanding, or would the distance between them only grow wider? Jack held his breath, waiting for his mother's reaction. Her expression held a cocktail of curiosity and concern, like gears in her mind turning rapidly. He felt his pulse echoing in his ears, the weight of this moment pushing against his chest. "Mom, it's my art. It's how I'm starting to see myself," he said softly, willing his voice not to betray the swell of emotions inside. "I see that," she replied, still studying the sketch. "But, Jack, is this really what you want? I thought you were going to look into medicine. Why art?" The words hung in the air, and Jack's heart sank. This was the moment he had anticipated and dreaded in equal measure. The world outside the window seemed to fade, leaving him in a bubble of vulnerability. "Because it's who I am, Mom," he said, his voice gaining strength. "For so long, I felt like I was living in someone else's story. This," he gestured toward the drawing, "this is my truth. I want to create. I want to express these feelings I can't always put into words," he confessed, the rush of honesty spilling out like a cascading waterfall. His mother's gaze flickered again, he couldn't tell if it was disappointment or realization. "But what about the scholarship? You were so excited." "I was excited because I thought that was what you wanted me to be," he responded, desperation creeping into his tone. "But now I'm starting to understand that it's not just about me fulfilling someone else's dreams. I want to discover my own path, even if that means straying from what's expected." For a moment, silence wrapped around them, allowing tension to rise like steam from a boiling pot. Jack's heart raced, and the doubts from earlier clawed at his insides again. Would his mother ever accept that he was more than just a reflection of her dreams? Finally, she sighed deeply, lowering her eyes to the floor. I just didn't realize how much you needed to explore this side of yourself, she said, her voice trembling. I wanted you to have a stable future, Jack. I understand, but what is a stable future without happiness? He challenged gently. I want to help people, but I want to do it through my art. I need to express myself, to create a life that feels authentic, not just like a well-trodden path. He watched as the battle played out on her face. He could see the old worries and new hopes wrestling for dominance. Okay, she finally said, a soft break in her voice. Okay, I understand your point. But please, Mom. Let me figure this out. Together. I want your support, but also your trust, Jack urged, his heart steadying as he held her gaze. For the first time, he felt a wrinkling of something new in her expression, acceptance wrapped in hesitation. I love you, Jack. I need to think about this, she said, her tone revealing she'd shifted from mere obligation to genuine contemplation. Jack felt a rush of relief as she reached for his hand. Maybe we can look into art programs together too. See what options are out there. He suggested, hope blending with the weight of her expectations. I would like that, she replied, her voice a touch brighter. But you need to promise me one thing, that you won't give up if it gets hard. Jack smiled, the conversation taking an unexpected turn towards the light. I promise. I'm learning that it's okay to struggle as long as I'm being true to myself. I want to create and help others in my own way, he said, relief flooding his veins. They stood shoulder to shoulder, a mere shade of distance shrinking between them. The air felt different now, a touch lighter, like sunshine filtering through the clouds after a storm. Let us celebrate this first step, his mother said, her eyes glistening. I believe in you, Jack, and I want to support your journey. Thank you, he whispered, tears of relief welling in his eyes. As they shared that silent moment, the weight of their past began to dissipate, making space for a future filled with hope and understanding. Jack felt the world outside the house waking up anew, each color bloomed brighter now, not just for him, but for the connection with his mother. Days turned to weeks, and with each passing moment, they embarked on their journey side by side on the path where her expectations met his ambitions. Jack began to transform deeply, and with each brushstroke on his canvas, he felt himself becoming not just the artist he dreamed he could be, but the son who could share his truth without fear. Waverly Springs, once a spectator to his uncertainty, transformed into a vibrant canvas of his aspirations, connections, and newfound joy. He learned that love could stitch together the fragments of dreams into something whole, just like his art, beautiful, intricate, and entirely his. A flow of colors rich with authenticity blossomed as Jack absorbed the beautiful chaos of life, knowing this was just the beginning. In the echoes of laughter and vibrant artistry, he was finally home. Now, this is your moment. You need to subscribe immediately to this channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that inspire change and growth. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep the magic alive. Comment your thoughts and feelings about this powerful ending below. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Support our journey together, and let us keep spreading hope.